Second. All right. Welcome to episode 2 of the Camp Ranger Kev podcast. I'm not by myself this time. I dragged my good friend Harrison to come with me. We're filming at my friend Skylar Rich in For Everyone Collective. I've been working here the past few months. Thank you so much, Skylar, for letting me work here, teaching me. It's been so cool to see what you've been able to build. So, to start off, Harrison, your dad sold me my embroidery machine.
Mm-hmm.
So, how long has your family been in the needle business?
Oh man, in the needle.
Oh, you need to talk into the mic there.
Talking to this thing here. All right. Needle business, sewing business. I'd say coming up on about 45 years.
Wow.
Even 50 actually, closer to 50. Grandma and Grandpa started it way back in the day. Kind of kept it going. My uncles kind of took it over for a little bit. My dad moved out west, did some skiing, and then came back here and started it up. At that time, there was a couple customers in the store a day, and now we have some youngins like you coming in.
Yeah, so I met you through working at Bill and Paul's, and I was like, I was just gonna get a single head machine at first, and then one thing led to the next, and I'm like, if I'm gonna buy a machine, I might as well try and start a whole business out of it.
Might as well ball out.
Yeah,
go big or go home.
Might as well ball out and put myself in a position to not just make things for Wolf, but make things for other people, and that really changed the whole trajectory of my company.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what allowed me to go full time. So, thank you for setting that up, brother.
No problem. That's all you, dog.
Yeah. So, do you think you'll ever work there one day? Own it, hopefully.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking into it. I recently just was accepted to Kendall College.
Okay.
Into their Masters of Architecture program. So I'll be doing that for the next 3 years. After that, of course, it's a family business. You're never off the clock.
Yeah.
You're always helping out.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I love doing that, and seeing people come back for something they love. They're passionate about it, like you are.
Carol's a real legend.
Oh, dude, she's been around both of us.
Dude, when she was explaining to me how to thread the machine, like, cause I was investing like a lot of my saved money into it, and I'm like, I have no idea how I'm gonna do this, man. Like, it was so much information at first, but she really broke it down, and really, thank goodness for her, man, cause she really helped me learn how to use that machine.
She knows the trade in and out.
Yeah.
All the history, everything.
Yeah, so brief introduction to yourself. Who are you?
As you know, Harrison Collins. Some of you may not know me, but I was born and raised here in GR. My family has been living around GR, Muskegon area for their whole life, and they kind of introduced me to the outdoors as a young child, and ever since then, I've just kind of been pursuing that, that feeling that you get when you're outside and that fresh air and stuff like that.
And I think that's how we've been able to bond too, is because we just met through Bill and Paul's and have only hung out 5 times, 10 times.
Had one beer, if that says anything.
Yeah, one beer, if that says anything. But when you share that connection with somebody, it doesn't matter. Like I see you, and it's just like seeing anybody else.
Yeah.
Like seeing any other good friend.
I see that drive in you too. It's like you surround yourself with people that love the same thing and want the same thing out of life, and it makes you a better person.
Yeah, and thankful for that store because it's shown like what a community of people can do.
Yeah. No matter where you're from too.
Yeah, and you're lifelong friends from it, man.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So what trip has impacted your life the most?
Throughout my life?
Yeah.
I would probably have to say my first time out west. My parents were always big hikers. They started climbing 14ers out in Colorado when they were in the 30s or somewhere in their 50s, still young at heart. But they took my brother and I out to Colorado, and we did our first 14er. And that was the most pain I've experienced in a small body. That was like going up that 14er. I was halfway up. We're eating carrots and crackers, and 3/4 of the way up, I'm yakking it all up. I had no food in my stomach for the rest of the day, and as we hiked down, I'd say that kind of changed my life in a way that seeing that those epic mountains and having that feeling that you're this small little dot and in the middle of this mountain range, I would say that kind of took me by surprise. And seeing my brother do that alongside the rest of my family, my mom, my dad, that kind of expanded my eyes to the mountain life, you could say.
Gave you that spark.
Yeah, it gave me that spark, and it's been calling me ever since.
It's so weird. It's sometimes those hardest situations that stick with you the most, and that you almost look back and like cherish those.
Yeah.
It's like one of my most valuable lessons that I've ever learned is when I was learning to get scuba certified, and it was my first day breathing underwater, and we were practicing switching from our regulator to our backup regulator. I'm about 15 feet underwater, and I did the worst thing you can do when something happens is panic. And instead of filling my BC and floating to the top, I try and swim to the top. I get one breath of air, then swim all the way, or then fall all the way down the bottom. I try and get back up again. This time I try and breathe in, and I don't even have time to get one breath. I just get a gulp of water. And I'm just like, I'm struggling. Eventually I'm like, I'm going to pass out. And I'm like, I'm looking at my friend. I'm like drowning right in front of him. He's not even doing anything. My friend Ian, if you're seeing this, come on, dude. And then I eventually give up. In a few seconds after I give up, the instructor pulled me out of the water, cough up all that water. I'm like, I literally gave up, and I'm like, I'm going to pass out, and I hope somebody finds me. And that lesson has stuck with me. It's like if I would have just taken 3 seconds to assess the situation, I could have just filled my BC with air and floated to the top and been fine. But instead, panicked, and that came to really help me in future situations, because on that trip too, we were doing now this is the real deal. We're in the Bahamas. It's pitch dark, and my light breaks. We're 40 feet underwater. It's like, you're trained for this, man. Like,
I'm out of there.
Yeah.
Put me on the boat.
Yeah, that was crazy. And I was young. I was going into my freshman year in high school. So I was like 15 years old when I was doing that, man. And that really gave me a spark to see the world and get out there. I think those early trips as a kid,
Yeah.
it's like you go through something like that and you accomplish it. It really
Exactly.
sparks
the
you.
accomplishment, that feeling that you get.
Yeah,
sure.
So I recently saw that you went on this awesome snowmobiling trip. So how did that come about?
My father proposed the idea, and he's always been talking about heading out west and doing some deep powder mountain snowmobiling. And he, as I said, he proposed the idea, and he offered it in a way as, here, this is how much it's going to be. This is the whole trip and who we're going with. And honestly, I told him, like, I was in a difficult point in my life. I just told him I couldn't afford it, and I have other things that I want to push forward with the savings that I have in the bank, and everybody knows that feeling. And he kind of took it as a chance to give me a gift, and so he switched it up and presented it as a gift. And he said, I've never, you did good in high school and college, and and I just want this to kind of be a celebration of those years that you worked your butt off. And so he was like, let's do it. And I had no doubt, so I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. So what were your expectations going into it?
I was just expecting it to be a lot of fun in the snow. I'll say that. I expected it to be just a ball of fun, and we're playing in deep snow, and we get to maybe try some cool jumps, and we get some hang time, and of course, beautiful scenery, but I was not expecting what actually came about.
Yeah. So then the next question is, what surprised you?
Probably the amount of work, how out of shape I was, even though I thought I was in shape. how much actually goes on in one of those lodges. I mean, this camp wasn't just hospitality, it was adventure, terrain, guide service. I mean, you name it, they had everything. And it was just an amazing opportunity that we did that. But yeah, it's hard to explain kind of what I was expecting and what actually, once we got there, it was different. I mean, the scenery was different that I've ever seen. I was expecting mountains, and they were mountains, but they weren't 14,000 feet. It was low elevation base and low elevation summits, and you know to to practice and train for a month and a half before going out there, you think, oh wow, I'm like really in shape. I can do this, and you get out there and you're just 10 minutes and you're sweating. And you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it all day.
So walk me through day one. Day one, you're rolling up.
Day one, let me start from the night before. We get in, and there's a chef. His name is Chef Hugo, and he presents us with this beautiful dinner. I mean, it was delicious. I don't know if I've had a better meal snowmobiling than that. And so I found the hot tub, I found the sauna, and so I said, all right, bright and early, I'm going in the hot tub. So I woke up the next morning, first ride day. Woke up, nobody was up. Chef Hugo was in the kitchen cooking breakfast and making our lunch.
Cooking it up.
Yep. And so I hop in the hot tub, kind of soak, relax, kind of take it all in, look in the view. I mean, in the mountains, as some people may know, you don't see the sunrise. You only see that light coming over the peaks, which that was just awesome to see coming from the, you're steaming up the hot tub, and, this sun glaze is hopping over the snow-capped peaks. It was just awesome.
Like a Bob Ross painting.
Yeah, exactly. I could have slept, but got out of there, kind of a breakfast buffet layout. Next thing you know, they're kind of helping us towards this bar that holds all the lunch for everybody, and they have these brisket sandwiches that are like freshly made brisket and freshly baked bread and freshly made brisket. And
so they're feeding you good before you're going out there.
Yeah, well, this is for packed lunch. Our breakfast was kind of like a buffet, eggs, everything good. Yep. Tea and honey, of course. And so they were showing us our lunch, and we had the brisket sandwiches, and then they always packed a can of soup in a thermos. And so we pack our lunches, and then next thing you know, everybody's kind of heading down to the huge, I mean, this building is quite big building. It's got this huge lower downstairs area, and it's all shop area. So they have sleds lined up. I mean, you think of jets on an aircraft carrier, how they're just lined up perfectly. I mean, everything was super clean in there. And so we walk through the sleds. They're all lined up, ready to go, ready to rip. The guides are kind of talking about the day, talking about the weather. They have the layout of the snow conditions, avalanche control, precipitation, all that stuff on this big chalkboard, so you can kind of see in. And we're walking through the lockers, putting on all our gear.
What's going through your mind at this point?
Well, the night before, the guys were talking about, there was a lack of snow. They didn't have a very good winter. And when we got to Kelowna, which is an airport we flew into, a town, and then we drove from Kelowna to Malacqua. In Malacqua, there was, 7-8 inches of snow. And so at this time, I'm thinking, all right, we're just going to be like having fun. It's going to be an easy day. Starting out, the guys the night before were talking about how, less snowy conditions. We don't have to worry about avalanches as much. So I'm like, all right, that's, still have to worry about it, but it's kind of off your mind that, something, like that, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But at that time, I'm I'm a little nervous just because, first of all, they're different sleds that I've rode my whole life.
So they call them sleds?
Yeah,
That's what I was
shorter
wondering.
term for snowmobiles.
Because we talked on the phone and you kept saying sleds. I'm like, I guess that's like the cool lingo for snowmobiles or
It's
something.
it's a lot easier, but I do like using sleds.
Okay. And do
On-
they use that? Like the people,
on
like,
occasion, the Canadians?
yeah, your guide and stuff.
Yeah, they would say sleds once in a while. I suppose I don't really think about it anymore, but yeah, I have to be careful. Sometimes people are like, "What hill were you sledding?"
Yeah,
in the mountains?
Yeah.
Really crazy.
No, that's funny. So you see
Everybody's
just all
getting
the
ready.
gear. Yep, you're gearing
And,
up.
yeah.
That's always a surreal feeling too. It's like when you know you're about to do some real shit and you're just everybody's gearing up. You're getting your stuff
Yeah.
ready. They're running you through. Like that's when it. At least for me, on
Yeah.
my trips, that's when it starts to hit you. Like I'm out here right now.
Yeah.
It's like,
Heart's pounding a
okay,
little
yeah.
heavier.
It's like okay, this is serious.
We're here now.
We're here
Like,
now.
I'm either flying back or I'm going out riding.
Yep.
Kind of feeling.
So
So
that's a great. I got the chills right now thinking. About
yeah.
that.
So everybody's getting on their gear, and most of them are putting on knee pads. And I look at my dad, and I'm like, "Are we, should we have these?" He's like, "I didn't know we were supposed to have them."
Knee
And-
pads. Yeah.
Yeah, and like full braces and back braces and elbow guards and stuff, and we didn't bring any of that. I mean, we brought helmets, of course, but
Yeah. Well, I would never think knee pads for snowmobiling.
And I found out quickly why they wore them, but everybody's suiting up. We got the avalanche gear, and so my heart's pounding a little bit, and all of a sudden the guides walk out of the room. They're all serious, but I do a double take, and they start chit chatting with the guests, and they're all ready to go. Let's rip, let's go, and they fire up the sleds, and they're cranking them out the warehouse doors, putting them right in the trailer. Everything's kind of taken care of. I mean, we didn't have to put oil in the sleds or anything, so that was really nice. All we had to do was focus on their gear, layers, what's in our pack, how to I have a 25-pound backpack,
Yeah.
avalanche backpack now with my luncheon and stuff, but also a pack on the back of my sled on the tunnel. So it was a lot in that first day, just getting ready. They were very thorough with everything that you had to have and kind of the routine for the morning and getting out there, but still, everything's happening so fast, and you have some parties that are there a couple days before. There's different parties at different times at the lodge, and so there could be a party that was there 2 days before, so they have a couple days of riding in.
Yeah.
And they're all ready and everything before you are, and you're kind of making sure you have everything. So I was not nervous, but super anxious just to get out there and feel the snow, because in Michigan, of course, these guys are saying that this is not a very good winter, pretty low on snow, but
We barely had any snow here.
yeah,
this year.
I'm sitting here thinking, I'm from Michigan, man. We got nothing.
Yeah, we got nothing.
Absolutely zilch. But so we load up the sleds and everything, and get in the truck. He's like, "You got everything?" I'm thinking, I hope so, because I don't want to be the guy that forgets something. So we get out there and trailer to a spot 10 minutes away, which you're thinking at the end of the day, it's going to be super nice, because you don't have to get in the truck for an hour and go home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, that's really nice. It's really close, and
We'll live with it. All right, all right. We're just getting to the hill.
we're just getting to
That was quite the build up
base.
there too. We're just getting.
Yeah, batteries and everything. Had to make sure we were prepped.
Yeah. Okay.
But okay, so we get to the base. We got all the sleds. There, guides taken. We got a lead guide and a follow guide. The guides.
What are their names?
The lead guide. The back guide was Kyle. The lead guide, his name was. Got me there.
All right. Whatever.
Dylan, Dustin. Start with a D. There's so many people that first day.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is, we our first day we rode with another party, so they had 5 guys in their party. We had 4 guys, my dad and I, and then one of his friends, and then a friend of his, a friend. So there was a lot of people. And so we have the lead guide and the back guide. And they got all the sleds out of the trailer. I'm kind of making sure my beacon's on and everything. And
To the people who don't know, you want to explain a beacon?
avalanche beacon. Basically, turn it on and it emits a signal for if in case there's an avalanche and you're stuck underneath the snow. It emits a beacon that basically presents your location to other people searching for you using the avalanche equipment that they have. So that's just very important to have on along with your avalanche pack. So it was, like I said, just getting everything, making sure you're ready. You don't want to be the one that's not ready or unprepared when you get out there, of course. So I was just prepping. So after that, we get on the sleds, and like I said, I always have rode, not always, but I prefer a Polaris sled, snowmobile. They just have a different feel, different handlebar, different width and handlebars, just a totally different feel. So getting on that sled the first time is a little different as well, and we started up the mountain.
So what's that like?
It's a trail with snow on it, which in Michigan don't find those very often. But a trail with snow on it, basically riding this ridge up through the pass, and we're mountain siding it, but the trail kind of comes out from the face of the mountain. So on our right side, it just totally drops off. I mean, you're kind of looking over the edge, and on a snowmobile you feel comfortable because you got two skis. You're not trying to balance or anything, but you also feel like there's a chance you might just kind of be pushed out there by the wind or something. So it's just that feeling. You're getting up, and I'm looking around. I've never snowmobiled in the mountains. I'm like, all right, Harrison, like, keep your focus ahead. Make sure nothing pops out. But I just can't help myself. I'm like, wow, this is nuts.
Yeah.
And it's just like the first time you have that experience, that feeling, for anything that could be. But sunshine's coming up. I mean, it's a beautiful day. Couldn't ask for a better first day. Just because visibility's all going to be there. You're not going to, it's not snowing or overcast where it's hard to tell the contours in the snow. So very nice day, and we kind of get up to a point where it's a little flatter, you could say, and we hop off the trail, and I was told to dress light. I did dress light, but I was still sweating at that point where we were just riding the trail up. I mean, we got sleds coming past us, but we're going up in elevation, and I'm already sweating, so that's never a good thing. So I'd shed a layer, and the snow was getting a little deeper, but also it was the salty snow, so you couldn't tell where the tracks were going. And in the first 10 minutes, I was fixing my gloves really quick, and one of the guys from the other group kind of took off, and you're always trying to keep an eye on the guy behind you. That's your responsibility, is the guy behind you, because then the guy in front of you, his responsibility is you, and it's a domino effect. It works well in the mountains and in the trees where you can get separated quite easily.
Yeah.
And so he got a little ahead of me, and this snow is so salty you can't tell a 24-hour track versus a 5-minute track.
Oh, wow.
So it was like I lost him, and I'm like looking behind me at our back guide, and he's just like, and I quick learned that those guides, I mean, they're built different.
Yeah.
They've been there, they've done the training, they've had the experience. But he goes, keep on going. So I'd keep going on this trail that I thought it was, and next thing you know, I can hear some sleds, up the hill a little bit. So I'm like, all right, found them. And as soon as I peek over this little ridge, I can see him right there. But it was just to get the snowmobile on its side and through the trees and in that deep snow, which, in Michigan, of course, you just don't get that feeling where you can just dump it on its side and just, pin it.
Yeah.
And just let the snow fling out the back.
I've never done. Yeah, I haven't snowmobiled in years, man. Trying to
It's,
do it.
yeah.
I've done it before. I've gone real fast in one, but it was a long time ago, like
Yeah.
70 or 80, something like that.
Yeah. And on a snowmobile, that's the thing. You can feel safe.
I was flying.
Yeah. They're also dangerous machines. And so,
yeah,
like,
crazy story. My friend Will Maney was hunting, and they found a guy. He had just gotten out of jail, and he died. They found a dead body. He crashed his snowmobile. He was on the fucking news. So, yeah, they're dangerous.
that's terrible news. But
Sorry to just throw that
you're
at you.
good.
It's just
no,
crazy.
I actually was.
His news interview was hilarious, too. He's just standing there all awkwardly.
Yeah. There's some crazy snowmobile stories. I got a couple.
Yeah. So what's like some of the sketchiest moments throughout the trip? Like, where any like, oh shit, like I'm really out here right now. Like,
Since there was a lack of snow out there was a lot more open rock faces, and also there was ice chutes. So where people would usually ride up and through this pass to get to the summit, because you're basically in this bowl. You're basically in this bowl of just, drenched down snow and trees, and your only way out is, up this steep face that you're looking at, and you're kind of thinking, like, I've never done this before. So at that point, you're just staring up at this face, and some of it looks icy, and, the guide's kind of calling out some of the shots. He's like, all right, stay away from that area. If you are going to go up that side, try to keep it on your right side. Doing a little side hilling action. That was a lot of how you got up, is you get it on one ski and you're basically perpendicular to the hill. As the face like this, the sled's perpendicular, so you can climb up with the track a lot easier. And the sleds that we were on were all mountain sleds. I mean, they were all taken care of, run thoroughly in the morning, making sure, all the scratches that were there the day before, whatever is still there. So I'd say having the guides tell you that if you do go on, just to the left of where he's saying, you might have a little trouble if the sled flips, and, he keeps talking on from there, and you're kind of thinking, like, well, I definitely don't want to go over there. But he goes up, and the worst thing to see was when the guide was struggling to go up.
Yeah.
And, he's like struggling to make it to the top. And you're like,
this is my guide.
this is my guide here. And, of course, he like gets to the top, and he's like looking around. And he comes back down. And he's like, all right, guys, that wasn't too bad. And you're thinking, yeah, right. I saw you wiggling the sled up there. And, and I thought we were experienced riders.
Yeah.
I've snowmobiled since I basically could walk. I basically could get on a sled. That was one of my dad's big hobbies, was snowmobiling. But
the mountains will humble you.
Exactly.
Real quick.
Exactly. So just getting to those points where you're looking up, but also if you do, and we did, but if you do make it up that chute or around the chute or up the steep face where you have to miss a couple trees and duck down under this rock face, the hardest part was going down. I mean, looking down and thinking, with that different kind of snow, a little salty, and it wasn't warm enough where it was sticky.
Yeah.
You start going down a hill, and there's really no way of stopping the sled. I mean, if the snow keeps moving, you keep moving.
There's no like break.
There is there is a break, and they taught us, the guides, really went over breaking downhill, because that's super important. That's where you lose most of your control. But they were telling us to engage the clutch, so actually give it throttle going downhill, engage the clutch where the belt is pinched, so that way you have control over your speed, and it's not just in an idling, basically neutral position where you keep, it's a constant gain of speed.
Did they have like a thing on their website saying you should have knowledge in snowmobiling before going on this trip?
Yes, you signed a few waivers, 5 or 6 or 10, a
Yeah.
lot of
If you
waivers.
die, we are not liable.
Yeah,
for any-
yeah. But if you hurt the sled,
Yeah, but
pay up.
then you owe us money.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But no, it
Oh,
was after signing a couple waivers and a few waivers. I mean, it's just telling you we look for this type of experience level,
Yeah.
rider style, but and maybe we'll get to it. But our last day, we met a group, and a couple of the guys had never been snowmobiling. They're from
wow.
Iceland, and they had never been snowmobiling in their life. And here I am. I'd say I'm a good rider.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. But then you get to there, and those, they are purebred athletes. That's their job. They're doing it, 8-10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guides was on a straight, I think he said 13-day streak of straight working,
Wow.
straight guiding. And so it's a lot when you get out there.
How did this trip impact your relationship with your dad?
Honestly, I feel like we all can kind of relate to this, and that is you get to that age where, you're trying to find your life and do your own thing, and of course the parents are always trying to, hang on to their baby or whatever. And
Yeah.
my dad wasn't like that, but as you grow up, I feel like my dad has just become a best friend to me. In a fatherly figure way. It's like, it's just like, what's up, dude? You know? And, in a nonchalant, kind of jokingly, sarcastic, just have fun kind of relationship, you could say. And I would, before the trip, it's just, stressful. Work's getting stressful, and it wasn't bad, but, it's just like at that age where you're, let's say, brothers, you're just like, I don't need to hang out with them and stuff.
Yeah.
So going on this trip, it definitely changed my perspective of that, and it's a lot more easygoing. I feel like after that trip, we had our differences and times where his experience of riding and my experience of riding kind of clashed in a way. His experience, his riding style is a lot more different than my riding style. So I think just through those little biffs and enjoying the outdoors together and kind of basically just bonding over a hobby that we both love to do.
Yeah.
And him kind of presenting me to that world.
Yeah.
Of terrain, mountain snowmobiling, which has always been a dream of mine. I've always watched, sled necks. I don't know if you've ever heard about them, but just a group of snowmobilers that they got pretty big, and athletes from hill climbs and snowcross, X Games, stuff like that. Watching on my Chromebook and sophomore year in business class, whatever. It's always been a dream of mine. I've always wanted to done it. So him presenting me with that, creating that opportunity, and taking me with him, sharing it with me, that was different. So after that, I just I don't know. I look at things whenever he does something where he's having maybe a tough day at work or something. It's kind of just we both share those tough days. So it's like, why not just help him out instead of saying like, what, like, don't come home with that attitude or something that my mom would say, or you just have to.
It's hard when you own a business, man, because it does come home with you, and turning it off can be hard sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah, knowing when to turn it off too.
Yeah, knowing when, definitely good to do that. Yeah, there's a time and place for everything.
So I'd say it strengthened our relationship a lot, and I'm just happy to have a dad that
That's good to hear, man.
does that with me.
And yeah, and he sounds like from a young age he's brought you to the outdoors, like you said, when you were 14. He took you on that hike,
Yeah.
which who knows how many. Things you did
Actually,
because of
I was 10 years old. There was a hike in Canada that
Yeah.
we did. A hike in lake, and we did some walleye fishing. But that was a totally different experience. But that was a life changing trip for me. But I was 10, and my brother was 9 when we did that. Summited that 14er in Colorado. But
What did the outdoors mean to you?
outdoors mean to me, I'd say just being able to. I'd say outdoors is. Of course, is it physically having to be outdoors, or?
Can interpret it however you want.
I'd say outdoors to me is just kind of being in your element, surrounded by. I don't want to get philosophical here, but
Get Phil. Let's do it. Let's get
like,
deep. Let's get deep.
it's it's like being surrounded in that outside, in that in the environment where you can see, smell, touch, hear, these different things that
All those senses. It grounds
you're
you.
just igniting those.
Yeah.
I mean, on 10,
and it's like
you get and being able to soak it in.
yeah.
The outdoors, just being able to appreciate it. I feel like that's real important, but outdoors, just being there.
It almost is like a spiritual
outside.
thing though when you're outside feeling like that, almost
Yeah.
like a meditative
And
state.
do all people get that?
I don't know. That's a great question. If you don't love the outdoors and yeah, I'll take you on a hiking trip and tell me if you feel that or not.
Do you feel the power?
Do you feel the power of nature? Because it
The
is powerful,
force.
man. Like it has changed my life. Finding like a natural way to get that adrenaline, to get away from all this technology that's constantly distracting us, ruining our attention span. Like those are all things that I'm really concerned about. How many hours a day we're spending on our freaking phones?
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
We're losing track of our time because we're wasting so much of it now.
Yeah.
And when you're outside, like actually like out in the wilderness, it kind of brings you back to your senses, at least for me.
It's hard to say. It's hard to define outside without using the word out. But I feel like that's a real important. You're out of touch with this social, like concrete that we have nowadays. It's
Yeah.
like you get stuck
Off
in there.
the grid, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
You get stuck in the cycle of society,
yeah.
of work, and
And just phones, like you were talking about. I mean, being outside, just soaking it all in.
that's part of the reason why I'm starting this is to try and spend less time consuming and more time creating. So thinking of ideas to occupy my time. Because if I'm just at home, I'll be scrolling on my phone. And I'm like, this past week I was like, I would rather be working and embroidering than scrolling through Instagram. I just would. So I've been working till 11, 12 o'clock at night because I'd rather be doing that than wasting my time and not. And
Yeah.
like but the thing is, I am always listening to something. I'm not just being in the moment, but you do what you can.
Put in them late night hours.
Dude, this weekend was crazy, man. I was editing a wedding video and I've not slept enough the past couple days. But
They already got married, man.
they already got me.
They already got to take some sleep, dog.
I know. I
got you.
I overwork myself sometimes, man. It's tough.
Sometimes it's. Just
And I'm a
gotta stick
one-man
to the
army.
grind.
I'm a one-man crew.
Yeah.
It's not going to always be like this. At least that's the hope. But for right now, do you think I could make that question better? Because I want to ask 100 people those 3 questions, which I'll ask you. But so I said, what do the outdoors mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
You answered it great. But for somebody who doesn't like the outdoors, they might just be like,
Well, they'd give their opinion of what it means to them, right?
yeah. But I want
it would be an interest. I mean, if somebody doesn't, I don't know. they eat sunscreen or something. I don't know what they do if they don't like
I
the
surround
outdoors.
myself with people who like the outdoors.
Exactly.
But I want to talk to people who don't, too, to
Yeah.
see. Because like you said, that was a great question. Is like somebody who hasn't had all these experiences like we've had, when they're out there, do they feel that? I'm genuinely curious. So the next question is, do you believe in aliens?
I feel like there's different types of aliens.
Yeah.
2023, they almost got me.
When did you see like David Grush talk to the Congress?
No. Try to
I go down the
that's-
rabbit hole.
Exactly.
So.
That's what would make me have my second thoughts.
Yeah.
Is doing that. So every time I see that, I'm just like, they might be out there. They might not. If I ever, think that there's one that I'm making contact with, whatever it is, I'm just gonna be myself and,
It's not easy for me
tell
to
them where the good pizza place is.
it's not easy for me to turn my brain off of work, but that's a topic that I find so fascinating that when I dive into it, I forget about work. And if I find like a really good show, or a movie, like I just watched Dune, I immerse myself into those universes because it's a way I can escape from work and forget about it for who knows how long. And now I'm listening to the audiobook. But yeah, I need to work on turning it off too sometimes because you can't be. I could burn myself out.
Practicing creativity, that's hard to turn off, and I feel like that's most of your
can't.
job.
Yeah, and the worst part, it's gonna sound messed up, but my most creative thoughts sometimes are when I have lack of sleep and am grinding and it's late at night and I don't know why, but it's not healthy.
Hard work, man.
No, but it's like I don't know. Maybe it's because like my brain is almost like a little loopy or something. But
yeah,
it's
it might be just skipping, then all of a sudden
it's like,
jumps
whoa,
back
this is
on
a
the
good idea.
track.
This is cool.
Yeah,
I'm like,
just
I'm gonna do that, and then,
clutch engages.
yeah, I don't
got
know
one.
what that is or what I'm tapping into there.
Rabbit holes.
Rabbit
That'll
holes.
get you.
It will get you.
I do believe in Yetis, though.
Okay, why is that?
Just something about them. I mean, there's so much
Bigfoot too,
uncovered different, but yes.
Okay, what about the Loch Ness monster? Because I just saw a video about that the other day.
I feel like that was once a thing.
Yeah, I mean
it was there.
Dude, I mean, like, think about how many cultures talk about dragons. Crazy animals. I mean, I don't think dragons breathe fire, but they probably was a crazy bird that could eat people, which was like a dinosaur or something.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that. I suppose I've always just kind of let that one be, and like I maybe thought like they could be possible.
But like dinosaurs were real.
Real.
So like a pterodactyl is basically a dragon. That's how I think.
Sandhill cranes, they sound like pterodactyls. I don't think it's far from the pterodactyl family.
Dude, foxes when they're mating make horrifying sounds. It sounds like a kid screaming. It was I heard it and I went out because I thought a kid was getting like killed. I was like ready. I was like ready to fuck somebody up. And it was a fox.
Are they
having
mating?
Sex.
Or
yeah, they're mating and they make
killing?
these horrific sounds. It sounds like a child screaming. I'll cue it on the podcast. You'll be listening to a fox screaming right now.
I know they yip, but
I was scared, man.
never.
Yeah, any crazy experiences with like being close to animals in the wilderness or like anything like that? Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually one time we were in Canada fishing on a flying lake, and all the other guys were in the boats out fishing. My cousin and I had come back. We were gonna make some lunch, take a nap. As baby as that sounds, we were gonna take a nap on the fishing trip, and fishing was really good, as you could tell, probably. No, that day it wasn't. But we got back, and I woke up from this nap, and I almost thought this was all fake until I was told by my uncle, who was out on the boat on the lake, I'd say 200 yards away, so it wasn't very far. You could see the whole thing. I opened the front door. The grill's right there, and we had cooked fish for almost every meal.
Yeah.
Fish and eggs, fish and French fries. So like everything's being cooked on the grill. It's all fishy in tin foil. And I walk out the door and I look to the left and there's a black bear standing on the grill.
Claiming it's food.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure we made eye contact before I soiled my pants, but he just booked it.
God.
Like faster than I could even blink. He was off the grill and far away. And even after that, I am running backwards, trying to close the door. I trip on the little door trim there. Mm-hmm. I'm like trying to shut the door, and yeah, that was the closest I've ever been to a wild animal, I'd say. That could.
Yeah, when I was 16 years old, this is my first trip by myself. So this is me and Ian, and this is when I first started taking photos. And we actually saw the Northern Lights first night too, which is probably a sign too. Like, I don't know, who knows what, but I've never seen the Northern Lights since then. But I spilt chicken noodle soup and all over the campsite. Didn't think anything of it. We didn't make reservations for it. We just literally drove up there and we're like, we're going to walk in the woods and sleep. I can't believe my mom let me go either. I'm 16 years old, no reservation, nothing. We just go up there. And we end up staying on the side of an ATV trail. And, so I spilt the soup and I'm brushing my teeth and I see the bushes moving. And I say to Ian, I was like, yo, I just saw the bushes moving. He's already in the tent. He's like, nah, dude, like, whatever. I'm like, dude, I saw him move. We get in the tent. Few minutes later, we hear sticks crackling, walking all around our campsite. And I'm like, dude, like, there's an animal out there right now. And he goes, don't move, don't say a word, go to bed. Lay straight, wake up the next morning, there's bear shit all over our campsite. So, I mean, the bears in Michigan it's nothing compared to a grizzly, but, like, I was pretty scared about that the next morning. I'm like, shit.
They can get pretty big.
Yeah. I don't know how big it was.
Yeah, they're no small animal.
There is photo. I do have a photo of the bear shit. Boom. It is real.
The scat.
The scat. Yeah, the bear scat. No, I was 16 years old. That trip was awesome. I've always had a sense for adventure and like doing stuff like that. It's been a while since I've been on a good trip, though. I'm itching to do something. I almost just went rock climbing in Kentucky. But I have too many embroidery orders to go right now. I would be there right now, rock climbing.
Do you want me to take your spot here or in Kentucky?
Yeah.
If you already bought the ticket.
No, I would be there now, so it's too late.
Oh.
You can't take the.
All
No,
right.
I didn't. I was gonna drive. Take the Toyota Camry.
The Yoda.
Anything else you want to say? To the people.
To the people.
To all the many viewers out there
that might see this.
that might see this or may never see this. Yeah.
Explore.